I wish I could give you this feeling. I wish I could give you this feeling. On the corner.
What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Corner Podcast. Kel Dansby here with a full desk.
Yes.
Blue Wire Studios. Old man Andreas Hell. Producer Coale. Baby. And the real star here. Look at this. If you guys are on YouTube, we are blessed to have Denise Salcedo here with us today. Thank you for joining us. Your schedule's crazy.
Oh, by the way, I love the way you pronounce my last name because you actually said it the proper way that it's supposed to be said. I don't even say it that way.
Thank you.
So you said Salcedo. That's actually how my last name should be pronounced, but I say it the English way, which is Salcedo.
Yeah.
But when you said it, I was like, wow, I love
thank
that.
you. I'm half Puerto Rican.
That's the way that you're supposed to say it.
My grandma would be proud of that.
Yes.
I've also been speaking nothing but Spanish at home like this whole week. My grandma moved in with me, so it's coming through on air. No, thank you for joining us. You are running around Vegas doing so many things, but we cornered you down for a second on the Corner Podcast. We have to ask you about your journey in pro wrestling because it's not every day. I don't think we've had anyone who's done what you do in pro wrestling. It's such a unique take on the industry, either being in front of a camera, ring announcing, and then also taking time out to build your own brand outside of that and be like a real, I just want to say, voice in the pro wrestling scene, especially for a woman. Like it's incredible.
Right. I honestly, like, even hearing you say all of this, it makes me like want to get emotional because you go out there, and I was just talking about with you guys off the air, is that you go out there and you do this job, but people don't know this is a very, very lonely job. It's just me and my computer, and unless I'm on a show with somebody, for the most part, it's just me by myself doing these videos, editing, preparing for interviews, and all of that. But it's a very, very lonely job. And I remember when I first started getting started, I saw all of these people that were just so successful and they were doing such great jobs. And I saw where I was, and I was literally like trash, like garbage, like nothing. I had nothing, knew nobody, nothing. I legitimately had nothing. And so I thought, like, I want to get to this point, but I don't know how to do it. And then on top of that, I thought, who the hell is going to care what I think about wrestling? Nobody, because why? There are no women in wrestling media. And the only women that you were seeing were on TV, on WWE, but women tend to be in the exact same roles as backstage interviewers. And that's what I wanted to be. At first, I was like, okay, I'm going to be a backstage interviewer because that's all I knew. And I wanted to be on television. That was my goal. So I thought, I'm going to be a backstage interviewer because I want to talk to wrestlers. And I tried to be a backstage interviewer, but you face a lot of rejection, a lot of, well, no. And also I thought, well, how am I going to let people know that they should hire me? Okay, I'm going to start a YouTube channel and I'm going to interview the wrestlers so that people can see that. And hey, maybe I'll get hired. And then before I knew it, I ended up becoming this voice in wrestling media because I kept putting out the interviews. I kept doing podcasts. I kept doing this and that. And then I realized that the role that I had taken on ended up being much more important and much more needed in wrestling than if I would have just been, just a backstage interviewer. Because unfortunately, in those positions, they plug in anybody and then easily plug them out. Yep. But you need to make sure that you are not somebody that is easy to plug in or out. You want to be somebody that can do everything and that people can say, hey, I want to hire Denise because this girl can write, this girl can edit, she can shoot, and she can promote her stuff. So it means a lot to me when people notice the work that I do.
Well done. I mean, listen, I've watched you work from afar, and we talked earlier. It's like, I feel like you know each other because the Twitter sphere is so small, especially in the wrestling community when you follow people and you watch their work. But I want to get to the beginning of all this because it's not every day. Like, you had a rise through the pandemic where a lot of people struggled and were frustrated and couldn't figure out what to do with their lives. Give us the origin of your journey into this, and where was your tipping point where it actually started to pay off for you?
So prior to the pandemic, I had been working, because my goal was to be on E, on Extra. I wanted to be out there talking about the celebrities and this and that. And I was an entertainment reporter for 5 years. A lot of people don't know this about me, but I was out there. I live in Los Angeles. I was born in Los Angeles. I was out there doing all of the interviews with all of these big celebrities. And then I faced a lot of struggles there too, but it's a growth. I started my YouTube channel, and prior to me really having, like you say, this blowout during the pandemic, I was working for Sean X-Pac Waltman on X-Pac 1 to 360 for 3 years. For 3 years, I was on that podcast. So that was kind of what I was doing. But at the same time, I was still doing my entertainment reporting. Now, when the pandemic hit, all the events went away. They were gone. There was absolutely no red carpet events. There was nothing for me to cover. And I always been a wrestling fan since I was 8, 9 years old, but I just didn't really think there was any position for me in wrestling. And during the pandemic, I remember this day. It coincidentally happened to be the day that they did the mass releases from WWE. It happened to be around that exact same time where I just remember laying in my grandmother's room and crying. I was crying because I thought, oh my God, all my work that I did to be an entertainment reporter, it's all gone because COVID's here and there's no events. What am I going to do? How am I going to make a name for myself? And I have to give the credit here to my fiance, because he was the guy, he was the person that looked at me and said, Denise, you are a creator. You are a creator. You do what you do best. Quit looking at things and thinking that the world is going to end because you have something that other people don't. And I'm like, what is that? You're just lying. You're just trying to make me feel better. And he was like, you're a creator. You have a channel. Go out there and put your content. Do whatever you want. Do what makes you happy. And I thought, you're right. I do have this, place. And I'll tell you, I had to go on unemployment and they were only paying me $60 a month. Ooh. $60 a month on unemployment during this time. And all I had was whatever income that I can make from my YouTube channel. So when you're making $60 a month and you have no job outside of what you were doing before, it is very scary and it is very heartbreaking to be in a situation like that, especially when you're like in your mid-20s and I was already expecting to be, not owning a house, but having my own apartment, etc. And so then I started doing these videos and it got to the point where I did so many videos on YouTube, so many. Then it got to another point where I just started reaching out to people and I'm like, hey, I need work. And then I need more work. So I started doing more work with Fightful. I started doing more work with The Observer. I started doing more work with Wrestle Talk. And then all of that and everything that I was doing on my channel and everything just sort of came together. And before I knew it, it ended up being something. And then I'll tell you this, 2 years later, or like a year later or whatever, I finally got myself out of debt. I was in the hole like over $10,000, making $60 a month on my unemployment. And on top of that, I was living at home, could not afford to pay any rent whatsoever. And 2 years later, I now definitely make more money than $60 a month and got my first apartment and got myself completely out of debt and paid at least, I would say, 70% of my wedding. So things have definitely changed.
Clap it up for Denise.
Yeah,
thank you.
Look, the thing is that a lot of people don't see the work in the grind. They just see you show up and they're like, where the hell does she come from? But it wasn't like that. You worked really hard. The Sean Waltman thing, I didn't even know about it. And I've known Sean for years. I had no idea. So now today, and we're going to talk more about your experiences, but I know people ask for advice. What advice do you give people? Because it's really hard. Kel, you know this. Coale, you might know this too. It's really hard to give advice that doesn't sound cookie cutter. Because a lot of people say, just chase your dreams. And you know that shit is not true. It's a lot more than that. It takes some talent. It takes some effort. So what do you tell young women that want to be in your spot?
Oh my God. I tell them first and foremost, and this is going to sound, I don't know how this is going to sound, but as a woman in wrestling, you cannot do the bare minimum. We are not, and I mean not allowed to do the bare minimum. If you are doing the bare minimum, you're not going to get anywhere. You have to work harder than every single person around you because you are, and this is just specifically for women, you are always going to be an outsider. You're not part of a boys club. You're not part of it. You're always going to come in here with a different experience and a different background. And so you cannot do the bare minimum. You're not going to get to a certain position just doing one weekly show, just doing one interview. Nope. You got to put everything that you've got into it. And then also for the men or for anybody who wants to be in wrestling, you gotta just, I feel like this also applies for the guys. Like you gotta, because especially for you guys, there's so many guys out there talking and doing wrestling media. So how do you get there? How do you become the cream of the crop? Well, you gotta just outwork everybody. That's all you gotta do. So I know it sounds very cliche, but you gotta go above and beyond. And I remember when I was reaching out to people because I was trying to get a job, I remember reaching out to Impact Wrestling. I remember reaching out to AEW. I reached out to WWE. I reached out to every single wrestling promotion. And everybody told me, not right now. No. No. And then the people that basically said that were not saying no, but I asked them, I would ask them for advice. And they just kept telling me, continue doing what you're doing. And I'm like, where is that going to get me? Continue doing what I'm doing? What? Right. How do I get to this next level? And then lo and behold, I kept doing what I was doing and it worked. I don't know how. But keep doing what you're doing turned out to be good advice.
No, that's usually the case, right? Like you said, you got to outwork everyone else. There's moments, and I think, us being in media and creatives and all this stuff and talking about giving advice, there's always these moments, talked about your boyfriend, now fiance, where you want to quit. Right? Or it just gets too hard, or you're very broke. I mean, all of us have been very, very broke.
Yes.
So it's one of those things, like when you're in that moment, how important is it to then have someone to lean on?
Oh,
you
my
mentioned
God.
your fiance. Like, to me, one advice I give people all the time is no one gets anywhere by themselves, ever.
Right.
Like you can work as hard as you can. You should give 110%, but there's always someone who's going to help you. How important was it to have that? And then, of course, you said you went home. You're staying with family. Like, during this point, how important is it to kind of have that network around you to help you chase your dream?
It is literally the difference between success and failure, because I never wanted to quit. That was never like in me. I was never like a quitter. I never saw myself as a person that was going to quit. It was more so of seeing other people that were getting opportunities and I wasn't. And I thought, what are they doing that I'm not doing right? And I kept seeing other people get all these opportunities and then not lasting. Like all the opportunities I wanted, I saw them give them to somebody else. And then those people didn't last, right? But seeing that and getting constantly rejected, it messes with you mentally, man. You start thinking, I'm not good enough. I'm trash. Oh my God, this and that. And if it wasn't for my fiance kind of painting me this bigger picture where he's like, my issue is I could only see what is right in front of me. I only see my problem, right? I don't see everything else. He's that person that's like, you need to take a step back and look at the situation and analyze it in a different way and see the big picture. So if it wasn't for him, I don't think I would realize how far I've gotten and the things that I've done if I didn't have somebody like him basically, giving me words of encouragement, telling me like, you're good enough, because it messes with you. And people keep telling you no, you start thinking, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I really just freaking suck, right? You're just thinking like, maybe I just suck, this and that. And there's so much that goes into it, especially if you're a woman. You start thinking, oh my God, I'm not sexy enough. I'm not pretty enough. I don't look like that girl on TV. And let's be real, there's a certain look that you have to attain to be in these positions. Yeah. And that was another thing that I struggled with. I struggled with not looking a certain way, the way that people, what we're used to seeing, what the norm is for women. And so it was just a bunch of that, sometimes brought me down. It brought me down. It messed with me mentally. And so having him be that person to say, no, this is what you have, and stop tearing yourself down, it was great to have that. And he still, to this day, is constantly giving me promos and speeches and helping me like and here's the thing, he's like a big sports fanatic, so he always uses like sports analogies, and he always tells me about like, stories about like Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan and all these people that were, great talents, but they had to face these massive hurdles. And, he tells, I'm not a big sports fanatic, so I forget the names of some of the other people, but he tells me about people that were, great players, but they were like the not drafted at one point, and then they ended up proving people wrong. And so it's stories like that, real true stories from people that have overcome things that I feel like I connect with.
All right, so being a woman in the industry. So listen, before you started, you said you had these, not before you started, before things took off, you had concerns about not being pretty enough. Let's put all that to the side. Now that you've made it, those DMs are different. The way people treat you is different because you're a woman in this industry. How is that challenged now? Because I know as a man we get this a lot. We why are these people contacting me? What do they want from me? Right? How have you been able to deal with this as a woman? Because it's got to be a lot different in an industry that's still dominated by a lot of white men.
So I do get this creepy DMs. I think I've gotten just about like everything that you can think of, but I don't have my Twitter DMs open for a reason. And my Instagram DMs, I've had people invite me to their basement to do God knows what.
Not wrestling, I hope.
Right. People asking for, photos and stuff like that. And I'm like, nope. I legitimately block everybody. But I think one of the hardest things that I've had to face is going on coming across certain things on the internet where people take your photos and they break down every little piece of your body. I ran into a forum once and I saw people pulling up my photos and literally talking about my body, dissecting it to the point where there was people having conversations about my, get this, ribs. People were breaking down and analyzing my ribs.
The internet is weird.
Okay? I'm like, I get like analyzing a woman's, sexual body parts. I get that. But your ribs and like pulling out photos, and like I don't post on social media anymore about my family or my fiance. I don't post their pictures up there because I now realize that people will take that and critique that, and I don't want that. But before, I did post pictures up of my fiance, and I remember finding those pictures. People found those and put them up on forums and started spreading disgusting rumors and all of that. And that's very hard because I can, it's one thing to take the critique from me because I'm a public person and I've made myself a public person, but my family and, my loved ones are not public people whatsoever. So I've had to take this responsibility now where I don't post pictures of them at all because I don't want them to be, I don't want to post a picture of somebody I love and then have somebody start critiquing them because they didn't put themselves in that position to take that kind of stuff. And so that's been something that has been, sort of difficult. But the one thing that I think has been very hard is because we're not used to women and we're not used to women speaking on podcasts, it's the thing of the voice. People are uncomfortable sometimes listening to a woman's voice. They critique our voice a lot where she's annoying. She's so annoying. Why? Because she has this female voice. And it's been one of those things where I'm like, I'm not going to sound like a guy. I'm going to have a higher pitched voice. I'm from Los Angeles. I'm going to sound like a Valley girl. I don't know what to tell you. And so it's one of those things where you have to get over that because sometimes even just people won't take you seriously. Why? Because you sound like an LA Valley girl. People won't take you seriously. You're sort of, you're fighting against a prejudice that people have where it's like, oh, she's not smart. She's clueless. Why? Because she sounds like this. But so that's been a hard thing for me where I'm like, I want people to know that I'm smart and I want people to know, hey, let's take her words seriously, regardless of the way I sound and the way I speak.
Well, that's weird. I mean, I've had like 3 different voices during the course of this podcast. So it's all right. Andreas pulled up like the 3rd episode the other day and he was like, what?
Yeah, who are you? I didn't know who you were. It was loud, this higher voice.
That's what happens when you start a podcast at 23 years old or however old I was. Yeah, and it's all right. I have not gone through a second puberty for those who were questioning that before. But you have those little critiques, right? And then I see this a lot on the internet for women in the industry. How tough is it for you to kind of like block that out? Like when you have people, even if they're not in DMs, if it's just on your Twitter timeline, or I saw someone today, I think Renee posted something, and they posted something completely fucking random about Renee. Like, that had nothing to do with like the thread of the conversation. They were just like, I forgot what it was. I felt like putting them on blast, but I don't want to give like people like that like a platform.
Right.
But it might have been something with like, oh, Renee, I don't know, sure hasn't lost that baby weight yet, or something stupid. I was just like, what?
Yeah, why?
For what? What does that have to do with a podcast? Like, it makes no sense, right? So there's those little critiques that are outside of DMs. They're just sometimes nameless, faceless people on Twitter. They have the stupid avi of a cartoon character or something. How do you block those out and really go about not letting those people have credence into what you do?
Right. So if you've been on my Twitter page, you've seen that I tend to draw a lot of Twitter drama. And I always thought, I remember when I started to get a little bit more popular, Sean told me, he's like, man, you're going to get a lot of crap. Like, just be ready. You're going to get a lot of crap. And I'm like, yeah, no. I'm like, if you're unproblematic, you'll be fine, right? Oh, I was so wrong. It doesn't matter. People will come at you. It doesn't matter if you consider yourself unproblematic, if you don't butt in. People will come in and directly attack you. There's times where I don't even know, like, I'll post something and then the next morning I'll wake up and all of a sudden it's like, oh, this person is going on a full vengeance against you. And I'm like, I don't even know this person. I don't even know who this is or why they're coming after me. And so there's two things now. I'm very selective with who I respond to. I ignore everybody, but there's times where lessons need to be learned. So I will make sure to defend myself when I feel I need to. And this is where things come into play where you can, I remember the first time I defended myself on Twitter, I feel like I didn't do it in a proper way. I feel like I did it in too much of a, oh my God, you did this to me sort of thing. Well, I learned to play the game like a dude. That's the thing. You got to play this like a dude. When you got dudes coming at you, you got to burn dudes the way another dude would burn them. So I've gotten really good at making sure that if you come at me, I'm going to come back at you with the snarkiest, meanest response ever. And that sounds really bad, but you gotta play. If you got people coming out here and attacking you and they're trying to ruin your character, you need to make sure you gotta bring your best. You gotta make sure that they don't bury you. Like, you gotta protect yourself. You gotta protect your reputation. And I forgot I was going
channeling your inner MJF.
Yeah, you gotta protect yourself. You gotta play it smart. And so I make sure to do that. And then the other thing is I just ignore it. And I tell myself, like, dude, like, you're making money now. A lot of people can't be in this position and you are. And a lot of people are asking themselves, how the hell did she do it? How did she do it? A lot of people don't know how I did it because people don't understand the work that goes behind it. So I just ignore it or I respond in a snarky way.
Yeah, you pull the Triple H promo of the I don't play the game, I am the game, JR.
I am the game, exactly.
I am the game. I think all these elements kind of like they kind of make up what is your style and is your brand, where it's this incredibly hardworking kind of like underdog story, which then comes with kind of being able to stand up for yourself and defend yourself. And I think we had a conversation a little bit about this off air, but I think where that kind of meets in the middle for you and what makes your stuff so special is transparency. You tweet everything that's going on. And it's like, if there's a wrestling episode that's on, like, just the timeline is full. Denise. Everything is going on. And then there's a show after that. And then on top of that, it's just random day-to-day things. You've got all of your tweets so far about you being in Vegas and gambling and putting the, you're out. She's net positive, by the way, which is great.
I was about to say, you're still up, right?
She's up. Okay. So I already told her, you're good. Drop out.
Put it out.
But how important is, especially for your role as a woman in this industry, how important is being able to have that layer of transparency where you go like, this is my life and fuck all y'all for hating it. But also, if you want to come along for the ride, come along for the ride.
I think the thing that I've come to realize is being relatable is such a key factor to whether or not you're going to succeed in something, because when you relate to somebody, that is how you form sort of a relationship, like a fan relationship. Think of all the people you guys admire, whether it's a singer, an actor, any sort of whoever it is that you look up to. I'm sure part of that reason is because you somehow related and connected to that person. So I make sure people know who I am, because there's people out there that might connect with it. And I'm very, very open. And I, on my vlogs, and we were talking about this off air, I will like literally pour my heart out to strangers and put it out there and whatever, because you just don't know who's going to connect with. And I have seen a lot of people write to me. They write me letters. They write me messages telling me how they connected with me in some sort of way. They tweet me. They come up to me at the shows. And you have no idea how many women come up to me and they tell me, oh, my husband or my boyfriend, he showed me your videos. Or guys come up to me, oh, I showed your videos to my girlfriend, this and that. And I didn't know that was going to be a thing. I had no idea that people were going to say, hey, I knew you. Just yesterday, when I went to Rampage and I went to go get my tickets at the box office, the woman at the box office told me, oh my God, I know who you are. You're Denise. My husband watches your videos. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, we love you. And I'm thinking to myself, holy moly, like, this is crazy. And so it's things like that help me blur out the negativity, because we always talk about how you can get 1,000 nice comments and one comment will ruin your day. Yep. But that's giving more power to that one person than all the other people. The other people, they matter and they matter. And so you also should be protective of what they are writing to you and be respectful of that, because those people matter too and their opinions matter too, not just this one person.
I love it. All right, so we have a card game. We're not going to get to it yet, but that's coming soon.
Oh, yes.
I have to hit you with some wrestling questions now, because I got to figure out who you are as a wrestling
scared.
fan.
I'm scared.
Now the real test begins.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Brett or Sean?
All right, so now, this is an argument that I've had, and I've gone back and forth on it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Bret Hart.
The table is even.
I mean, obviously I have a Bret Hart shirt.
Yes.
So but the question is,
Turning my
why?
back.
I will tell you, if you would ask me this question a couple of years ago, I would have said Shawn Michaels, because I love Shawn Michaels, and I'm such a big fan of Shawn Michaels, and I respect, and he brings such a level of excitement to wrestling that is, not everybody can bring to the table. And for the longest time, I would have answered Shawn Michaels. Things started to change when I started to go back and like rewatch Bret Hart's work. And not just that, it's more so of his knowledge of the business and wrestling that it's so hard not to respect and fall in love with that. There's, everybody always saying like Bret Hart's always right. And in my podcast, if you tune in, there's a big flag for Bret Hart there. Mm-hmm. And I have it there because I'm like, he's the smartest person in wrestling. So he's like number one for a lot of people. And so I want to have number one, there to have, bring me good luck, bring me good vibes. And so definitely I would say Bret Hart.
See, listen, Bret's the best person. He's the better person.
Oh, yeah, of course he is.
He's not the better wrestler.
But I do love Shawn. But I do love Shawn Michaels.
But yeah, they're 1A, 1B.
Me. I love Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, I mean, the reason, for me, the question boils down to, it kind of dictates what you like out of your pro wrestling, depending on how you answer that question. Kels a flippy shit.
I love the flippy shit.
I love the flippy shit, too.
Flippity dippity.
The flippity dippity, as Kenny King called it yesterday. But with Bret, I think for a lot of us, we appreciate the technical aspects of what Bret brought to the table as an artist. Right? It wasn't always flippity dippity shit. That psychology was so important to Bret. The ability to make other people look good. And I think it's weird because, like, you see Dax, you see, like, CM Punk, you see them praise Bret Hart, and then you see how they work, and their work is always to make somebody else look better. So it's not always indicative of the type of person you are, but I like to hear the reasons why people bring that up. What's the greatest WrestleMania of all time?
Ooh, so... in terms of like the card or in terms of like my experience?
We'll do the
There's
card
two,
first, and then
okay.
we'll do your experience.
I feel like for me, it has to be WrestleMania 17 because that was the first WrestleMania that I watched live in person. And there was that's one of the few WrestleManias that I remember I had the VHS and I would go back and rewatch it multiple times. But in terms of like my favorite WrestleMania, and it's not because of the card, but it's WrestleMania 35 in New York because I got proposed to that night. So it has like a special meaning to me.
That'll do it. That'll do it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. You win.
Right. So it's hard to answer. Like I feel like I'm saying WrestleMania 17, but I'm like, damn, such a special moment happened to me at WrestleMania 35 that it's like, how can I diss it? I can't diss it. But WrestleMania 17 has a special place in my heart because I feel when you go back and I think about some of my earliest wrestling memories, I remember just like watching that WrestleMania over and over again. And then WrestleMania 21 was the first WrestleMania I ever attended. So that
Mine
one also
too.
real okay. We were there together.
Yes, 21.
Yes.
Oh,
And so that one also has a special place in my heart just because it was the first one I went to.
okay. One more. I'm gonna
That's
Kel
congrats.
ask a few questions.
By the way, WrestleMania 35, my honeymoon.
Oh,
Oh, that's
what's
right.
up?
That
Yep,
was your honeymoon.
after Wedding Mania. Yep, went to New York.
Wedding Mania.
Let's see. Your 3 favorite wrestlers. They don't have to be the best. Your favorites.
All right. Number 1, Chris Jericho, because he is the person that made me fall in love with wrestling. He's the person that I gravitated towards. Number 2, CM Punk, because in my teenage years, he was the person that made me fall in love with independent wrestling. He was the guy that I discovered from my experience, I discovered him in the indies, and that's where I started to have this appreciation for independent wrestling. So I was very, very devoted to him for all those years. And then 3rd, because I think that he is just the greatest, it is Kurt Angle.
Good choices.
Because Kurt Angle is just, my God. I don't know how to describe Kurt Angle.
Wait. So WWE Kurt Angle?
Impact Kurt Angle.
Perk
Kirk
Angle.
Angle.
That
His-
man was a legend. I don't think enough people appreciate that maniac and the matches that he had.
Right?
My God.
Yeah. And then, I mean, there's just so many other people. You know, we already talked about Brett. AJ Styles is somebody that has to go up there. Bryan Danielson is another person. You know, I got to see him in PWG back in the day. I mean, there's just so many people.
Yeah. Kel, you got any?
That's that LA living. You're just like, oh, I saw him in PWG.
Hey.
I was in,
Because it was down the block.
Oh,
I was in 8th grade when I started going to PWG. And when the tickets were still $25, I would
God.
sit in the 3rd row for $25. My uncle would take me. I remember he took me to, he told me, oh, I'm going to take you to, independent wrestling. And I looked at him and I was like, what the hell is that? And he's like, oh, it's like wrestling, but not, it's not WWE. Like, he described it, right? And I asked him, I'm like, are they going to have fireworks? And he's like, no. And I'm a kid, so I looked at him and I was like, what kind of rink-a-dink place are you taking me to? But I went, and I remember the first match I watched featured Chris Sabin, Chris Hero. It was good stuff. It was at the Jewish Community Life Center back in the day.
That's the super OG place.
Yeah.
Did you
Oh,
go
my
to the
goodness.
warehouse before they shut it down?
I went to
American Legion?
the only 2 locations I went to were the Jewish Community Life Center. I went to all their shows there. And then I went to another place, and I don't know if it was in Burbank or in Glendale.
So you didn't go to the one in Reseda?
It might have been the Reseda one. Which one's? I
Yeah,
don't
they
remember.
just moved from that.
Yeah, American
like a
Legion.
big one.
It's
Yeah.
not big. It's hot as hell. The air conditioning
Were
never
there
works.
somewhere before the Legion? Because I
There-
stopped going
yeah.
once the tickets got really expensive.
Well, they were at American Legion from 2015.
15.
Then I'm pretty sure I went. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a hot as hell warehouse. They had
Yeah.
the bar over there and the,
Yes.
the really
Beer and
disgusting
pizza.
bathrooms.
That's
Yes,
it. They had
yes.
beer and
Yes.
pizza.
Oh man, I love those shows.
But
And-
I didn't go to that many shows there. I think I went to one there.
But the thing is, going to a PWG show reinforces your love of pro wrestling because you feel like you had something nobody else had.
Yes, I remember I just tweeted this yesterday because I was, I got to be close up for Rampage and seeing Bryan Danielson. I sat there and I thought, I haven't seen him wrestle this close to me since PWG. What? That was, half my life ago. So I was just sitting there in awe, thinking about this. And it's crazy how time flies by so fast. But yeah, those PWG days, they were good, man.
The,
And I
the
miss those
videos
days.
that live on the internet now forever are just some of the
Oh.
greatest wrestling you could ever watch. So go down the PWG rabbit hole. If you haven't, you owe it to yourself, and especially go find Jushin Liger going in slow mo with the remote. That's one of my favorite things
Yeah.
I've ever seen.
That bolas were great. Anything, I mean, dude, Adam Cole, Kevin Steen, and Generico, Fiend Wolf,
Yeah. Everything was just
Ricochet.
magic. in there.
If you've been to a PWG show,
Ricochet.
you are a wrestling fan.
Yes.
Because there's no way to not be a wrestling fan. Funny story. Ronda Rousey, I had them go to their first PWG show, and that's what flipped the switch for her to be a pro wrestler.
Yeah, that's when Ciampa.
Yes, when
She
she
chopped
chopped
Ciampa.
she chopped Busick. Biff
Busick. Yeah, Busick. That's
And then,
cool.
yeah. After that, because Shayna and Jessamine Duke were always pro wrestling fans, they brought Ronda. Ronda sat in the second row, and she was like, "Holy shit, this is what wrestling is." Now she works for WWE, and I know she's like, "This is what."
This is not what I saw back then.
Yeah.
All right, so we went
Experience.
nostalgic. I'll go recent. Who is the most underrated wrestler right now?
I'm gonna go with Tommaso Ciampa. I think that he is a phenomenal wrestler with a presence that I love. This kind of presence where a guy comes in and he walks into a room and you're like, ooh, he could kill me if he wanted to. I love that, like the Samoa Joe vibe. I could buy that this guy is a legitimate MFer and he is going to take out whoever he wants. So Tommaso Ciampa for me is one of these guys that I'm like, I have so many dream matches that I would like to see him in. So he's one of those that I would say.
I hope he goes to Edge's stable. Like at this point, like do something with
Yeah.
the man. Yeah, just don't have him in catering. So, all right. So that's underrated. Give me right now, currently, your best sports entertainer. And not just in WWE.
Oh, I was gonna say,
But
so
like-
that means just WWE?
No, just like promos, character, in-ring aside.
Best.
Best.
Okay.
And then I'll follow it up with your best wrestler, but there's caveat. They got to be 35 and under. I don't want Danielson. I don't want Kenny Omega. I think Okada's 35, 36.
Okay.
No Okada. 35 and under wrestler, but anyone can be sports entertainer.
All right. So best sports entertainer. I'm gonna have to go with. Oh, I don't want to go with someone that's super cliche, but damn, I do have to give a lot of credit to Becky Lynch. I think she is doing a great job with her character work. There's a lot of little things that she does that I very much appreciate. She's taken her game to a whole new level. And so I feel like she needs to be credited for that.
You like this character better than the man?
Some aspects of it, yeah. I love the psycho Becky Lynch. When she gets psycho, that's the Becky Lynch that I love.
Okay. And then pro wrestler.
Under 35.
Under 35.
Under 35. All right.
I'm trying to eliminate the
I'm
OGs who
I'm
are
trying
like
to think. I don't know
incredible.
anybody's like actual ages.
But you know, like none of the OGs. Like no AJ Styles, no anything like that. Adam Cole's probably still
I
under
was gonna say,
35
how old
because
is
he's
Adam Cole? I was
stupid
just
young.
thinking about him right
Cole
now.
and Gargano's
Yeah, but you know what? I'm bumping them both over 35 for the sake of this conversation
God.
because they
Oh man,
got like
okay.
20 years wrestling experience. They're like 32 years old.
Who do I really enjoy? How old? No, I don't know. How old is Rich Swann? Is he over 35?
Yeah,
I believe
He's
so.
way.
Yeah,
Is he way older than 35?
yeah. Swan's been around. He's like
Because I
Keith Lee's age, right? Like 36.
'Cause I love
37.
him a whole lot in terms of like his in-ring wrestling stuff. Oh, I want to say Adam Cole, but you're bumping him up to the 35 and older.
Man has like 5-star.
Give
matches.
her
Yeah.
Adam Cole, man. That's
Adam Cole.
you got too many caveats with this under 35.
I guess I could have went under 30, but then that gets like
then it's
insanely
like good
deep.
luck.
He
Or
spelled,
in that case, maybe we can talk about like young up and comer stars.
I like that.
Maybe more so like the
Sure.
younger talent that
Who's that?
I really like. I want to probably shift it over then to I feel like on NXT I would definitely go with Carmelo Hayes because I think he's great.
Yes.
Over on AEW, they just have so many people. And I want to go with I'm gonna go with no, I'm not gonna go with this person. Hold on. I'm running down the roster right now.
This is the stumper.
Hold
Yeah,
on. I'm
yeah.
running down the roster because I want to make sure I give proper shout outs here. I feel like Dante Martin's somebody to talk about because he always goes out there and does such a good job. But I also want to put over Ricky Starks
Yes.
because I feel he doesn't get enough appreciation. And I want to put his name out there too. But there are a couple other people that I'm not thinking about right now that
Like Daniel Garcia.
Yeah, I think Daniel Garcia is really great
You're a
too.
bigger Daniel
and
Garcia guy. Than
I
me.
am.
I
Have
like
you seen
his
him
work
work?
with Jericho.
I mean, have you?
But no,
seen
he's
him
always
work
been a
indie?
great wrestler.
He's
No, his
fantastic.
wrestling's.
And
I didn't
him adopting the sports entertainer thing has been.
think, honestly, if we're being, I didn't think he could grab a gimmick. I didn't think he'd have a gimmick. I thought he'd have to be an indie guy who's just going to I thought he was just going to be the guy you put in a match and not do anything else. But this gimmick, I'm like, okay,
But he can work his ass off.
yeah,
And we're
like
talking
being
about-
part of a faction is pretty good. I don't know if he's bringing up another name. Like Sammy has been able to take the character, leave the faction, and he's a good character. I thought he was just a worker on the indies. He was just young as hell, but super charismatic. Great character work now. Daniel could do the same. I had my doubts, but he's a good wrestler.
You don't need to pick Adam Cole either. He spells his name wrong. He stole my
Yeah.
gimmick. So we're talking about that. But
All right, so we got 10 minutes. We got this.
yes. Okay. So Denise, to borrow from your stable of content here, you've been doing a series on YouTube called Promo Wars, and go watch all that. So I thought I'm going to bring a little bit of that flavor here to the podcast here. We're going to play a little Smack Talk showdown. We're going to have it go between Kel and Andreas.
Yeah.
So for those at home who don't know the rules of the game, they're going to get 2 cards that are going to make up their name of which wrestler that they are. It's going to be a segment, which is going to include the city and whatever the premises of their show. And then they're going to get an additional prompt that is they have to finish their sentences with a certain word, or they have to tell the city it's garbage or whatnot. So I'm going to,
and we get to vote, right? Like
yeah,
we're
yeah.
voting
We're
together. Okay.
deciding who wins it. So
All right. They're on the spot. And they also got 45 seconds to cut these promos.
yes,
45 seconds.
So pick a card, any card.
All
you're gonna
right.
get a second name card, and you can put them in any order you want, and that's gonna be your
There's no
wrestler.
name on my card.
There's 0 name on my card.
Oh, so
no,
you got a
You got-
blank.
Here you
Yeah.
go. Hold on.
You got to double check those.
Are yours also blank?
Here we go.
All right.
That one, got one.
Leave it to Cole. Give us a blank
You
card.
know.
My NXT 2.0 gimmick.
He's already off to a fantastic start.
Well, whatever you've got, we're going to change it, okay? Like, that's not going to be your official name. We're going to have to rechange it.
So put them in whatever order and let us know what your wrestler name is.
All right, Phil.
Oh, we got to tell you what
Whatever
it is?
order you want. Yeah, tell us what it is.
All right. I'm the graceful mobster.
Graceful
Yeah.
Mobster. Okay.
Graceful mobster.
Iron Monster.
Iron Monster.
Oh, God.
I was gonna say Monster Iron, but
No, that doesn't work.
sounds like an energy drink.
Yeah.
All right. Let's figure out what your segment is. Here we go.
Like, wait, can I go full WWE and just drop my last name?
Sure.
Oh,
Like
Jesus
Big
Christ.
E Langston? Like, can I
Yeah.
just be graceful? And I just
I'm going to go with Mobster.
No. There's way more fun and graceful.
then we're going towards the Pete Dunne Butch area. So Mobster. All right, here we go. Let's figure out what's. All right. We're in Bloomington, Minnesota? The wrestlers are fighting at a mall opening. They must promote the stores in the mall during the promo.
All right.
So think of your favorite food court
Must
places.
promote the stores in the mall.
Think about your favorite
Gotcha.
food court places. Think about all the lovely places here at the Wynn, Las Vegas.
It's the mall. I got you.
In Bloomington is the city. Yes, there we go. We've got a little bell ring. And now, all right, Andreas, for your promo, the speaker must boast about the amount of alcohol they can consume
Oh, wow.
in one sitting.
I got you.
Damn, I wish that was
I
my
win.
card.
That was perfect for Kel.
Listen,
Graceful.
that's my normal gimmick.
And let's see, because I want to find a good one for you.
Where are we again?
Bloomington.
Bloomington,
Bloomington. I got
Iowa?
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
you. Just put your geography.
Kelly, you're going to have
cheated
to
geography.
you're going to have to boast about the multiple wrestlers that you have trained. Your gang of mobsters.
Gotcha.
Nice.
All right. Who wants to go first? And once again,
All right.
you are graceful.
I'm graceful mobster who
And
has
you-
to talk
you-
about the stores
Iron
in the
Monster.
mall.
Gotta talk about the
I
stores in
think
the
you
mall.
should rock, paper, scissors to see who's going to go first.
I like it.
Ready?
Do you
One.
rock, paper, scissors, shoot? Or
That's
rock,
always,
paper, scissors?
That's always the talk.
Shoot.
All right, good. Make it sure.
Rock,
Oh,
paper.
Oh,
Yeah. So
okay.
Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
all right. It's on me.
All right, Andreas, I'll give you some time.
Graceful.
I don't need time.
Monster.
You don't need. You're ready.
This guy's
I
good.
just go.
All right, your camera will be that one. I'm gonna give you.
This-
I'm gonna give you 45 seconds.
Right there.
Yes.
Tell me when to go.
All right. You can proceed with your promo in 3, 2, 1.
Graceful. We're in Bloomington and you're with the Iron Monster. We're in Charlotte Roos. We go to Forever King 1. I'm gonna beat that ass while I guzzle Coors Light. Vodka cranberry. It's not gonna be graceful as I beat your ass through the food court. You son of a bitch. You think you're graceful until you drink Schlitz, Thunderbird with Kool-Aid. I drink it all. The Iron Monster's got an iron lung and an iron kidney and an iron gut. It's not going to be graceful, mobster, because I'm going to do a shootout on you at Champs and then Foot Locker, and I'm buying kicks and I'm drinking a shoey.
You went a little over time, but that was wonderful.
Love it.
That was
Applause,
fantastic.
applause.
Kel, do you think you could top that?
I don't know. This guy's good.
How you feeling? You
I'm
ready
feeling
to
good,
go?
though.
You
Yeah.
ready to go?
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna give you 45 seconds on the clock, and you can go in 3. And your camera's all over there too. You can go in 3, 2, 1.
I was told today we'd be in Bloomington. Every city's the same for me. I get here, they tell me about some iron monster. He's nothing compared to the people I've trained. You want to know about a monster? You find my monsters at the food court. Just because I am grateful and graceful does not mean that I'm still not a mobster. I go to the mall to rob people fashionably. And this iron monster will find out that with the change of one letter, that a mobster is way better than anything he may be able to drink. We'll be there tomorrow night, Bloomington, looking fashionable.
Wonderful.
God.
There was a finesse that he threw in there
Man says being fashionable.
with the delivery. I don't know.
fashionable at the food court.
Sir,
I feel
you got to
like,
understand there's bars to this with the change of one letter, N to the B, monster to mobster. Come on.
There's some
bars.
good synergy there.
There's bars.
What do you got,
This one's-
Denise?
This one's going to be hard to judge because I loved both of your promos, but for different reasons. I thought yours was more thought out. I feel like there was a lot of like the iron gut and the iron this and this
yeah.
and that. I thought that was great. But then Cal's yours was more so of, I think you messed up a couple of you messed up your own name. I think you called yourself Grateful.
Yes.
But graceful too.
Yes. you
But
gotta catch
it kind of made me like want to just like burst out and start laughing. So I kind of fell in love with the promo there. So there was a lot of things that you did that kind of made me want to laugh. So I loved your promos for different reasons. What's your analysis of this? I haven't decided who I want to go with.
I don't know. I almost feel like we need to just pick one of them. And Brian, you're gonna have to be our tiebreaker. Andreas, I'm giving it to you.
Okay.
I love
like
the
it.
delivery.
Listen, I'm a stickler for a great late 80s promo.
Yeah, that was yes. He very much
Hey,
channeled Macho Man.
I was gonna kick down the cockpit. Hulk Hogan.
I have to give it to Andreas too because,
That's graceful mobster.
like I said, it felt more well thought out. Sorry,
But you're
Cal.
I like
both
it. I
winners.
like it.
Brian, did you have thought? He's giving it to Andreas. He is giving it to Andreas.
Listen,
Look, it's the background, it's the TV,
I
it's
love
the fact that it looks like
I love like a
80s.
powerhouse wrestler who's also a drunk. So like I can't knock that. The
we all do.
cards were in his favor.
Amazing.
I like it.
I gotta play with more of this game.
Yeah.
And the losers.
I
gotta
tried to
drink.
channel a little bit of a he who may not be named. So in the character, very graceful.
Well, we do, but
Oh,
we're running
So
up against the clock.
horrible at this game,
All right, let's. I mean, you guys-
But you know what we're gonna do? No. You know what we're gonna do? Here's the deal. It's just gonna have to make Denise come back here the next time when Money in the Bank is here,
And we
And so we'll have a month to prepare. There's going to be a lot of promos. There's going to be vignettes.
Shit.
There's going to be
Cole is the master of this. by
there's
the
gonna
way.
be a lot. Like I'm just gonna go out into the wilderness and do my Regal "He's a Man's Man" promo. So I'm ready to go. So we're gonna hold it off until then. But they're the most anticipated matchup in a month.
Right, we're gonna start
happening
building it already.
Already, it's
Yeah,
already
we're-
being
we're-
built right
we're-
now.
We're gonna sell out Allegiant Stadium.
Well,
You know what? At least someone's doing it that weekend. We got it.
Oh my God.
Producer Cole Bebe and Denise Salcedo live at Allegiant. It's happening.
The venue's open.
All right, Kale, take us home, man.
Oh man, no, we appreciate everyone for joining us today. If you listen to pod, don't go anywhere. More great interviews after this. Ton of people rolling through Blue Wire Studios here at the Wynn Resort in Vegas. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much. Thank you, Denise, for stopping by. Your crazy busy schedule. Your story is so inspirational and needs to be told. We appreciate you. You would have done better than both Andreas and I at this game. So I'm glad you didn't play because you would have won fairly easily if you would have been in on this.
Gee, thanks, Kel.
I mean, I got to axe the grind with you, Cole. You took my DCs
You got a point.
and then cut a promo on me about my own
That's
DCs.
true.
Yeah, I don't like you. I wish you lose at everything. So we appreciate everyone for watching, though. Till next time, if you're on YouTube, we're out. If you're on the pod, be right back.
So I guess it's peace. Peace.
Baby? Yeah.